I come across so many powerful women that have endured so much and it's just it makes you grow when you like sit and hear and see how these people have grown or have gone through things and have persevered, like you said, all those things that you said.
Hey. Welcome back to Two Little Wine Podcast with Ashley
and Jara.
Cheers.
So today we are drinking hot tea.
Yes.
Because my voice is going in and out. Bear with me. I feel like it sounds good though. Like it's coming off. Yeah. This morning, it was not. And I was like, I need to shut the fuck up.
You preserved all the yapping for now.
All the yapping for tonight. How are you doing?
I'm good. Yeah, I'm good. I went to New York this past weekend. I feel like we haven't like caught up.
No, I feel like this week was like so long. It felt like more than a week, right? Because we recorded last week, but it feels so long ago.
Yeah. I celebrated my best friend matching into her residency program. Yes. So super excited.
Congratulations, Christy.
Yes. And yeah, it was really special. And also special, like celebrating Women's Month, us on the pod, and just big milestone for us.
I love that.
Yeah. So yeah, things have been good.
You wanted to tell a story.
Oh,
why?
Yes. I came in
Which
here,
is part of how you're doing.
Yes. So I came in here and I was like, I'm not gonna say it until we go live. As y'all know, we have tea today, and when I was making the tea, usually you boil water and you put it in a cup and you put the tea bag in the water over the cup. Because I was making a lot, I was like, let me just make it all in the pot. So I put the tea bag, the water's boiling, I put the tea bag in, and I'm just gonna like lay the string over like the handle. Like,
yeah. I would do that too.
Right? So I did 2. When I put the third bag in there, the little string falls, lights on fire. And I'm like, what the
No.
Scrambled. So now I'm like throwing water on the stove.
Oh shit, you have a gas stove?
Yeah, I turned off the stove and I was like, okay, let's try this again. Turn it on. Same thing happens again.
Fire.
I was stressed, and so then I just started cutting the strings off. And one of the tea bags actually
just like opened up and disintegrated.
Yeah, so I had to like strain it.
Yeah, bro. That's why.
It was a lot happening.
That's a lot. I'd have been like, fuck this show.
I was literally I was like, I should have just went to Dunkin', like, instead of making my own tea.
There's like a Dunkin' cup over there. That's what I did. Because I was looking for tea bags and I was like, nah, this is going to be mad work.
It would have been so much easier. But all is well.
Yeah, the tea is made.
The tea is made. The kitchen is intact. Thank God.
No fire. That's actually mad funny.
Yeah. It was like flames.
Yeah. You know, SpongeBob running around his head with the fire.
Yes.
Too funny.
But how are you?
I'm doing good. I don't know why. I think I lost my voice from being in the car because I'm not sick. Like, I don't feel sick. My throat doesn't hurt. But I was in New York this weekend too. I was at a aesthetics conference. So it was a lot of like mingling. It's not marketing, it's networking. It was a lot of networking, a lot of meeting brands and like they're like the owners of the brands and stuff like that. So it was fun. Yeah, came back with a lot of goodies. I'm excited. But I'm tired.
Yeah.
So it was like, I think the event goes Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. So I'm like, I keep forgetting. I know we film on Tuesdays, but it's like all mixed up for me.
It feels like a different day.
Yeah, like it feels like Monday to me. I don't know.
Yeah. It feels like it should be Wednesday to me. But
so I'll be sipping on my tea.
Yes. But all that to say, welcome back. We are continuing our Women's History Month series and ending it with some questions that we're going to answer about womanhood and just like a little bit more about us in that way.
Wrap up the month nice and strong.
Yes.
And empowered.
Yes.
There's were there any events going on this month? Like in our city? I feel like there was stuff going on for women's empowerment this month.
I know that there was something at City Hall.
Yeah. Like, that's what I was thinking.
Women were recognized there, yeah.
Yes. I love it.
Okay. Do you want to kick it off? Do you want me to kick it off?
Let's start off. Let's just start off strong because I struggle with this question even when we were asking like our invitees. What does being a woman mean to you, Ashley?
I think that being a woman to me is like a lot about resilience and just like almost like by any means necessary, just getting things done. I know that like even so I think about like being it's so intimidating, and like listening to like the people that we had on, it's like wow, they were so like quick with the responses and they know in their head, and when I'm thinking about it I struggle. I think it's a changing, like it's something that can change over time of like what do you identify most in your womanhood, within your womanhood, or like depending on what stage of life you're in, like
where you are in this moment.
So when I think about womanhood for myself, I think about one, like being a sister, being a daughter, like those are two big parts of my identity. I feel like in general that two big parts of my identity. And then I think overall just having like this nurturing piece to it, but
I agree.
I don't know, it's kind of like, because I guess it's good to remind myself that like this is for me, because I feel like not everyone fits any one definition of it. But definitely like resilience. And I think about like womanhood is like doing the things that you are expected to do and like not being praised for it or not being recognized for it.
Yes.
Specifically, like I think about motherhood, and I'm like, you know, when you're a mom, like you're a mom, right? But then when people see like a dad with their kids, they're like, oh, he's such a good dad. And I'm
like what? Like, yeah.
Or like stuff like that, or like certain things like that women are not, that women do because they just have to do what they have to do. And then a man does the same thing and it's like, oh wow, like look at him stepping up and this and that. And it's just like, they're just doing the same thing that women do regularly. Like, you know what I mean? So, yeah.
When I think about the question, right? Because, I mean, we've been talking about it with our guests. We've been talking about it for like the past 3 weeks. I'm like last week when we were interviewing Enid, I'm like, I'm just a girl. Yeah. And like, I think that I struggle with this question, like, what does being a woman mean to me, is because I'm still figuring it out. I still feel like just a girl who is about to be 30 and like, yo, you're expected to just be a woman because you're this age and you should be mature and you should know how to navigate life. And or at least these are the shoulds that I put on myself. Or like, all right, once you get your period, that's it, you're a woman now. Like once you go through puberty and you get your womanly body, you're a woman now. Like I feel like I've always just been like, damn, like I'm just a kid that's just figuring it out, like a kid, not even like a girl. Now I feel like a girl. But like Christina had said something about like resonating with her, that resonated with me, that like she didn't really have like a father figure growing up. She saw her mom in both ways. So like that showed up for herself and how she like held herself, like she did all the boy, quote unquote boy things or whatever. And I feel like, yeah, like I grew up with my mom, who was my mom and my dad, like single parent, and like she was a badass, and she like didn't wear makeup, she didn't really like do these like girly things. So when I was younger, I never felt like I was a girl, like I was just a kid, right? And I think like after like high school, moving out to college, where I like stayed in a dorm with girls, I was like, oh, girls do this, like there's makeup, like you can do, I don't know. And then I became a girl. This is my timeline, right? Yeah. And then I think like graduating college, not knowing what I wanted to do, going through so many different jobs, then finding my passion in my career. I think that's what I was like, okay, this is womanhood. I'm finding who I am and what makes me happy and what empowers me, what makes me feel good apart from everyone else. But I teeter-totter between, I think too, because I look young, I just be like, I'm a baby. But I feel like, I don't know, I teeter-totter between, is this womanhood? Is this just a girl trying to get to womanhood? I don't know. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it definitely, I can totally see. And I think knowing you personally, I'm like, oh my goodness, I can just kind of like insight into your mind and your way of thinking about it. But I think that sometimes we can lean on like, I'm just a girl as kind of like a crutch a little bit. And
100%.
I do it too.
100%.
I actually said it to my mom recently. I'm like, I'm just a girl. And she's like, but you're not. Like, okay, but you're not.
Yes.
And you live alone, you do this, you have all these responsibilities. You're not just a girl. Like you
right.
Don't use that to like hold you back from making big decisions or like doing what you gotta do.
Yeah.
You know? So yeah.
That literally fact, like all these things, like I pay my bills and I have my own business and I am a woman. I am an adult, I am a woman. But I just be like, I don't want to do it. I don't want the pressure or like, I don't know.
It's like if you say it out loud,
it's scary.
Then it becomes more real.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's interesting, like, because I was going to ask you, do you think that, or like how have men influenced or not influenced like your idea of womanhood? And I think you kind of shared a little bit about how like growing up with a single mom, it made you think about being a woman differently, like somebody who does it all and like
like when I think of womanhood and being, and okay, so maybe that's what the crutch is, that it scares me in a way, right? Because I think now as being like I'm almost 30, I'm gonna be 30 this year, right? And when I think of like the trajectory of like my mom, right, at 30 years old, she had a home, she had a family, she had the kids, she was a grown-up and a woman who took care of everything. And just in comparison, knowing that, to me it's like, okay, I have to be that woman now, right? It's me in my head comparing myself because I've seen all these things that she did. Like that is my example. Even our Aunt Chiki, like just the women in our life, like not having the men around. We have a lot of women in our family, so and not growing up with a father figure or like. I think it just not being I guess around men enough, it does affect you. You as a woman or me as a woman, I feel like I have to know it all and do it all and be resilient. And I think I've learned growing up that it's okay to not be okay. Whereas before it was like, no, you have to be okay with everything. You have to persevere. You have to make it through. And yeah. Does that kind of answer it? Yeah,
because I think it comes also like when you add like this piece of independence to it and like what does it mean to be an independent woman, and thinking about in our family, in our lives, like that was very instilled in us of like, you know,
you don't wait for the man.
Yeah. And even like I think about like me, like I grew up with both my parents, but I do think still that my mom was still very strong and like it was kind of like almost like she could do it independently, right? And like I think for her having me also like so young, it was like I don't have a choice. I have to figure it out. And then after with my dad just being like, oh, okay, but I don't have to, and that's nice. And I like that, and like even just like allowing that help and like that support, you know what I mean, and like that system. Because I feel like, you know, I grew up with like my mom being like watching her go through this phase of like, we could do it all, but we don't have to.
We don't have to, yeah.
We don't have to. And you know what? I don't want to. That's what, you know, I have this partner who's gonna do these things for me too. Like I don't have to take care of everything. You know what I mean?
I think that in itself is a struggle, just because of growing up. It's hard to, like, relationships wise, I do see myself like feeling like I need to do it all or want to do it all, because that's just like that is what I'm used to.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I would like to step back and enjoy.
Yeah, it definitely takes a lot of though, like, trust and like a reassurance, right, from a partner.
Yeah.
To like
lean on them,
not only tell you but like show you
that that it's a safeness. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And like, I think, you know, in culturally, we've always been told, or like not always been told, not that we've been told, but I view culturally as like, well, if, you know, you're in a relationship or in a marriage or whatever, and your husband steps out on you, or they treat you this way or treat you that way, or whatever the case may be, you just kind of have to suck it up. And I think that makes me really sad to think about, that people feel that way. And I think it just shows like how much growth or like space there is to grow if people are willing to do that. When I think about like raising future generations of women like in our family, of just like instilling that piece of like, you don't have to, you're able to speak your mind, and like, you don't have to do things to make other people happy.
Yeah.
Little sidebar. So the other day I had asked my goddaughter to come to a birthday party, a 1-year-old birthday party with me, and she's 10. And at first I asked her mom, and her mom was like, oh yeah, like she'll say yes, like, you know, whatever. And she ended up saying no.
Aww.
And she was just like, no, like, Nina, it's a 1-year-old, like it's gonna be a lot of little kids there. And I'm like, oh,
because you're just like, she's a kid, she'll
come. Like she'll come, like whatever. And then I said to her mom, I'm like, dang, she told me she'll never be too cool to hang out with me. I guess the day came. And she's like, she was in the back, she's like, what did she say? She's like, no, like, that's not it, Nina, that's not it. Mm-hmm. And then afterwards I was thinking about it, and I'm like, I'm so proud of her, like,
hell yeah,
for just saying, hey, I don't want to do that. Like, you know, I'm sure it would be cool, but I still don't want to do it. So I ended up like calling her the next day, and I'm like, I just want you to know that I'm really proud of you for that. And she was like, oh, I thought you were mad at me. And I'm like, no. Like, you don't have to do things to make other people happy. And I think that that's something that I've had to unlearn, like, in growing up, of just like, you don't have to do things to make people happy.
Yeah, it's not for the other person, it's your life. Like, you should make decisions based on how it's gonna affect you.
Yeah, and I'm not to say not to, because then I think about like, we get extremes, right? Not to say like, don't go out and like support people and do things for like that will contribute to somebody else, but like, don't just do it just to make them happy. It's,
100%. I feel like literally that's how I would say I lived the majority of my life before womanhood, right? Not people pleasing, but it was like everyone comes first before Jara. And I'm like, it's time for Jara to come first.
Yeah. I had somebody told me maybe like 6 or 7 months ago, they were like, oh, so you're a people pleaser. And I was like,
holy shit.
What? I had never like thought of, attributed that to myself. But then as I reflected, I'm like, dang, like,
damn,
I really am.
Damn, they read you.
Yeah. Yes.
And it's so funny because sometimes we need somebody to say it, so for us to be like, oh shit, you're right.
Yeah, and if you're like, oh wait, I don't like that about, I would like to change that. That's something that I want to work on, and I become super aware of it and like working through. You don't have to be that way anymore. You can choose to change and stuff like that.
I will say last year, 2024, I definitely went through this like mental growth that I can attribute to, I feel like, womanhood, where it's like I'm tired of pouring into other people's cup, and mine is freaking half empty.
Yeah.
Like, why is it? And yes, it's like traumas, right? It's stuff that I have to unlearn. But it felt good that at the end of the year, I felt like I found myself. That I was like, my cup is finally going up. Yeah.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
My voice is going. Let me see. I don't want to ask this because I was going to say, like, who are some women that influenced you, but I know. But I want to ask that later. Go for your next question. Oh, by the way, Ashley and I, we created we have like a list of our own questions.
Yeah.
Yeah, that were teeter
Some of them are probably similar, but what has your experience been as a business owner?
Ooh, as being a woman business owner, or just being a business owner?
Well, I think that, when you think about your line of business, they're mostly women owned businesses.
Yes. So for those of you that don't know, I am a solo esthetician, so I would consider it like day spa. So health, wellness, kind of, right? All of that, but I do facials and full body waxing, if you don't know me. The question was, how has it been?
Yeah, like how have you navigated that?
Okay, so I will say that I feel very blessed, knock on the air, that in this business, it's easy for women to put each other down and become competitive, to try to like make themselves like rise up, I guess, because there are a lot of women in this business. So I feel very blessed that when I made the transition to go to aesthetic school, I met amazing women that were doing a career change. We were all we were older, and we all just wanted something different out of life at that point. Like, we were in similar spaces that we were tired of the 9 to 5. We were tired of the people pleasing. Like, we wanted to do something for us, and it was this aesthetics, right? So I've been around a lot of empowering women that have helped me get to where I am within my business. So now my business is 3 years old, and when I first got out of aesthetic school, I met girls that already had their business, and we would go to aesthetics conferences, and we would give tips and tricks, and we would teach each other, instead of being oh no, I'm not gonna help you because you're my competition, because we do the same thing. It wasn't like that for me, so I would say I'm very blessed. And then so I first got out of school, and immediately I was able to get a job, which is not honestly realistic, but I got a job at part-time at Massage Envy. There's a long story to your answer, but whatever. And the reason why I got hired, it wasn't because I had experience in the field. I had zero. I came from accounting. I had zero experience in this field. But the woman that hired me, we talked about life and why I was doing this. And I was I'm tired of all of this stuff in my life. I just she basically, after our conversation, she was I have a daughter your age, and you are I love that you're following your dream and you're ready to go and you have so much fire. Here's the opportunity.
Yeah, she gave you a chance.
She just gave me a chance. Yeah. And then within there, I met freaking amazing girls that were okay, maybe you could work on this. Maybe you should do this differently. But it was so empowering and positive, and I'm wow, this is what I wanted my whole life. I feel in the corporate setting, I have always experienced women putting me down, or me having to scold somebody for doing something instead of helping them in a different way. I'm a helper. So that was unique for me. And then it was just by chance that one of my friends went to go get a service at a med spa, and she was hey, one of my friend, my best friend, is looking for a room. Do you have an extra room? And they were yeah, let's meet her. And literally, this was within a couple months of me graduating, and getting my license. That's unheard of, to even be able to find a space and do your business right away. Those women, empowering. They're nurse practitioners who have a med spa, and I was just this solo esthetician who used to do accounting and doing a career change, and they were girl, here's the space, here are the clients. We would exchange clients, and still to this day we give and receive, we exchange services and stuff like that. And then fast forward, I build enough relationships that I find a bigger place, and another powerful woman who's empowering. And I don't know, I've been lucky that I've had this experience. I want to just say that because it doesn't happen often. I'm grateful for it. I think obviously I play a role in that, but owning a business at almost 30 is definitely difficult. It has made me grow up. But it allows me to it allows me to empower, specifically women. Like, my whole goal is to love yourself the way that you are and have that space for you, allow that space for you. Whether it's beauty or you want to come and lay on my bed and just chit chat and yap and cry, and you know, my space is about like healing and being there and loving yourself. Yeah.
So pretty much it sounds like too, like you've had a network of women who, like, being a girl's girl.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like y'all been able to lift each other up in that way. Yeah. I was also thinking about it. I mean, like, we come from a family of business owners, like women-owned businesses.
Yeah.
Like your mom, Cheeky, my mom, like, you know, they've kind of been able to take a chance on themselves. And I will say I can attribute that, I feel like, at least with your mom and our aunt, to Mama Chad and Papa Rafa, just being like, you don't have to like conform to anybody else's schedule, or like you could work for yourself, and like almost like the goal is to work for yourself. You know what I mean? I feel like that's always been really instilled in us.
Yeah.
Of like, that's the way to make, you know, like to have like more autonomy over your life.
Yes.
Essentially.
It's funny because I never really thought about it like that, but like they are our examples, like subconsciously. Yeah, we come from that, like finding our own, having the ability to find our own because of them. Yeah. And how about you? Because you're a therapist, you're a social worker. Yeah.
Well, so I had somebody tell me recently, who is an MSW as well, or she has her LI, but she had said to me, like, Ashley, like, you are your business.
Yes.
Right? So like you know, get trained, take any training opportunity to learn new techniques, new skills. Think about what other practices can you like build up to like offer for what you're offering. And it makes you just a more versatile clinician. So with her saying that, I never thought about it that way. Like, my business is not a thing. Like, it's not like I don't need anything but a space, really,
right,
to do it, which I think that's really
but you are
nice.
your brand,
right?
Yeah.
But I never really thought about it that way. Of like the knowledge, like people will come to me because of what I know and like how I can make them feel as far as like the vibe and the energy in a space.
That's so interesting. Because I feel like, well, maybe because it just comes so natural, like, for you. Like, I feel like when I think of, sometimes I text Ashley, or sometimes we're talking through text, and I'm like, damn, she's therapizing me right now. But I feel like maybe you don't think like that because it is such a natural thing for you. Yeah. Like, you fell into a space that it's you. Yeah.
Yeah, I think because sometimes you're like the other day you were like, you wanted me to like yell at you about something, like just yell at me, and I'm like, that's not really even my style in general, like, you know what I mean? So it's just funny, but I don't mean to. And I think like even in how you feel like, oh, I'm therapizing you, it would not be like that in
right.
You know what I mean? It's still different, but
but I think that it's so funny. I'm seeing it from the outside. Like, you're not actually therapizing me, but I'm like, Ashley's such a, like, this is her.
It just becomes a part of you.
Yeah. And you're in a woman-dominated field too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
We're just nurturers.
Yeah.
Like when I think of like, I'm an esthetician and now I'm going to nursing school, I don't think of myself as just a facialist or just a wax therapist. Like, I think of me as a whole. How do I put it into words? Like, it's a whole thing. It's a whole experience. Yeah,
there's like a lot of components that make up what it means to you.
Yeah, like I am my own business at the end of the day. It's me. It's Jarixa. Like, I remember the lady that hired me at Massage Envy, she was like, Jarixa, I think I was going on vacation or something. I don't know. I was gonna be gone for like a month, and she was like, how do you get clients to come back? And I'm like, you know, like I talk to them and I tell them I want to see them again. And she's like, yeah, no, that's what it says on the paper. That's what you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, then what are you asking? She's like, everybody just wants to come back to you. And I'm like, well, I'm doing the same thing as everybody else. Like, we're all doing the same services. Like, literally, it's a protocol like that we're following. And then it came down to, I'm like, I'm just being me. Like, I'm just a person, and we're just vibing, and they're enjoying the experience. But everybody's
you could just feel a certain energy, and like you can tell like when you meet someone and it kind of feels a little uncomfortable.
Yeah, like unauthentic.
Yeah, or just kind of like, yeah, like they're there just, to do the service. Like, we're here for this.
Yeah.
But some of the, like, what you do is like intimate, right? Like, you're like all up in somebody's face. If you're waxing them, like, you're getting personal with them. So you have to create this like sense of like a certain bond of just a certain level of trust within minutes.
Yeah. And I mean, I think I would say the same thing for you.
Well, yeah. Yeah.
Right, because there are people that are seeking your services are like being vulnerable and trying to get to the bottom of whatever they're trying to get to.
Yeah.
So they're trying to connect with someone who is able to get them there.
Yeah.
Damn, I could have been a therapist too in a different life.
No. Well, I think that I do think that being like a social worker or like a social services, like a person, it's just like you're just born with it. It has to just be like in you.
I mean, unfortunately, people have those positions that shouldn't be.
Yeah.
But
and like that could go for every field.
Yes,
as
correct,
well, so.
correct. Yeah. But it is something that comes from within.
Yeah.
All right. Has there been any specific person, woman, person that has inspired you, that has like affected your trajectory of womanhood?
Yeah. I mean, there are a lot of women in my life who I feel like have just, I feel really inspired by. Ooh. A little spill. I know my mom, of course, like I am constantly just in awe of her. Of just like she's like really smart. Like she's just smart and like understanding people and like figuring things out. I feel like she has an answer for like, I'm telling you, I'm always like, Mom. And I've had to learn to like, okay, you don't always have to just call your mom to like help you figure things out. And she's also been really good about just being like, I don't know, Ash, what do you think? You got this. But just seeing her, like her resilience, how she shows up for people. And then it's been really beautiful to see her, I feel like, as I've become an adult, to see like, oh, and then these are the ways that she shows up for herself. And so you can do it all, but my mom, like
100%.
yeah. And I don't play about my mom. Like, no. I'm always like, I'll beat them up.
Right. And she's so little too.
Yeah. But I also think about like, I mean, my grandmother, and as we don't always see eye to eye, but like I always just see her and I'm like, she will do anything like for her family. And I think that I admire that about her, because even me like being like, okay, like this is my boundary, you know what I mean? And like she just is very like loving and giving, and she just wants her family to be together all the time. Like she just wants good for us. And sometimes we don't receive it as well, and then that makes me be like, now I'm like talking about it like, dang, I gotta call her and like spend some time with her.
Yeah.
And then my friends, like,
yes, go there, because
my friends are so inspiring to me. Like they just the way that they like show up and like do things, like girl boss so hard. I think about my best friend, like Christine, just her resilience, how she is just like, you know what, this is what I want and I'm gonna go after it, despite like how hard the journey may have been. Even like any other friends that I've had who have like lost their jobs, gotten laid off, or like have just made big decisions about career switches, like moving, experience loss, like all of these things, and the way that they are just still like
finding joy and continuing.
Yeah, like they just find joy and they just find joy, show up like for each other when they can't, and it's like when they can't show up for themselves, we show up for each other, and then we're able to just like push each other to see the good in ourselves, and it
you
just
have
makes
a lot
me so
of
happy.
Friends that are women.
Yeah,
like your friend group is majority.
It's like you're my best friend. I always feel like I'm like best friend, like, you know what I mean? Like, I mean, I have friends as well, but like I have a lot of best friends.
Yes.
Who I'm really close to, and I think that's who you're kind of thinking of and stuff. But yeah, I've been blessed with a lot of great women in my life.
I feel like when I think of every woman in my life that has inspired me, it's so many. Like the list goes on and on. I think that the older I get, the more I become like quality over quantity. I think I've always had a small circle, but as far as like who I keep my energy around, so my mom, like you, like my cousins, right? My friends. I feel like I'm very intentional about who I keep around because I'm easily influenced. I think I said before, like, there was one episode that I was like, somebody could catfish me because I'm so easily influenced. Like, but for me, I think it's like, it's a good thing because I am so, and even in my field of work, like my clients, like I come across so many powerful, women that have endured so much and it's just, it makes you grow when you like sit and hear and see how these people have grown or have gone through things and have persevered, like you said, all those things that you said. I see it all the time. All of those women inspire me. And I think about all the attributes like that I have and where did they come from. Those are the women that inspired me. Those are the reasons why I am who I am, and I love it. The good, the bad, the ugly. I'm like, all right, I could attribute that to my mom. I could attribute that to Mama Nana. I could attribute that to Mama Chano, to Ashley.
And I think too, like when I started to grow up and see, people around me for who they were as people, and not only like the role they played in my life. Like my mom is my mom, but she's also like my friend. Like, and I've been able to just see her as a person, as an individual, not only for who she is or how she is with me as a daughter, you know what I mean?
Correct.
The same thing goes for like my grandmother, my aunts, like, you know what I mean? Us even, like we're cousins, but I think we're more like friends, like, you know what I mean? Like we've been able to grow a relationship outside of just what our title is to each other, you know what I mean? Yes. That's what I meant. You articulate yourself so well, Ashley. Yes. Girl.
Every time you say something, I'm like, yep, me too. Yep.
It'd be a struggle. Y'all know I'm thinking when I'm like looking up.
Well, for the people, because some people just like listen to us, but for the people that watch us, my eyes are going like all the way around searching for these words, girl. But you know what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying.
Oh, we get it out, Have you had like a pivotal moment for yourself in this like experience of womanhood?
I was telling you I didn't, Ashley. I was hoping you didn't ask that question.
Well, I know you said that, but I wanted to challenge you because I think you have shared some pivotal moments.
Well, maybe just opening up my own business. Like that was a pivotal moment of, but I don't want to say it's like womanhood though. I think it's just like growing up.
Okay.
Like, because like, I'm gonna stop saying like, this is my source of income at the end of the day, right? I have to act on it and I have to show up no matter what. So I think that is a pivotal moment in my life. But as far as womanhood, I don't know. Maybe like going through ups and downs in a relationship, finding myself in that. I don't know. Because I there's so many things that have affected my life that I've done. I think every other year, it's been like every 2 to 3 years, my life just turns.
Yeah, it's like a reinvention.
Yes. And I become so much, I don't want to say better, but I find myself more, and I become more myself and the person that I want to be. And I think about this a lot, actually, because I've come so far. I remember being in high school and being so depressed, and maybe not wanting to live, and not being able to even think about the light at the end of the tunnel. And I'm a completely different person now. Now I see the light everywhere, and I see so many possibilities. So I don't think there's like one defining moment that's like, aha.
Yeah, so it's like many moments. Yeah.
Do you have one? Do you have like one?
No, but I think that that's a perfect way to say it. Like many little moments. I definitely think that, you know, leaving relationships that were no longer serving me, or just feeling like it was time to move, that's a big one. That was like a big moment for me of like just, and I say in womanhood because I actually saw something that was like, if I ever said I read something, I heard something, it was all on TikTok. But so I saw something that was like, men don't usually leave relationships. It's usually like the woman, or, you know, who will initiate that. Especially like long-term relationships. And I feel like I've kind of, when I think back about it, like I can see that.
Yes, that's actually true. Well, from my experiences,
yeah. And so as hard as that was, and as hard as it is to like leave an air quote like sure thing, we're like, I mean, we could figure it out, like whatever, things will be fine. Leaving that, you know what I mean? Like, I think that was a big moment for me. I think that a big moment in womanhood, or like just feeling like surrounding women, like a lot of women who support each other, will be joining my sorority.
Oh yeah.
So if y'all don't know, I am in a sorority. And that was like a big deal. That was like the first time that I felt like so many people who know nothing about you, like who really don't know about you, y'all share this one thing in common, but they would like put their name out there for you. They would like take a chance on you because you have this shared thing in common. And of course, to like be in a sorority, there are certain criteria, you know, that you would need to meet. And so just like knowing that you're building that community. Yeah. And like,
and it's like a woman. It's sororities are all
women. Yeah.
I've always loved the idea of a sorority. Yeah, like women empowerment. I'm such a girl's girl. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think those would be like two. I mean, there are many more moments that I'm sure if I like really sat and like thought about, they were. Yeah.
I love that.
I wish I was like being a sister. I wasn't a woman when I became a sister. I was a kid, but like just that role of like sister. I literally remember holding my brother for the first time. I don't have a lot of memories from like when I was a kid, but trauma. No. But I just feel like it was like this great responsibility, like feeling this level of responsibility. And even us, like how our relationship has changed over time. I went from like, you know, I was a sister, and then I felt like I was like second mom for a little bit, and that was just like on myself of like wanting to be like protector, to like now like being friends, but also like not like just any friend though, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, well, I have two little sisters too, and you saying that is literally replaying in my head like little moments of how they view us, right? And in turn, that makes us the example.
Like
like for sure when I was a kid I hated not hate but like I didn't like my sisters as a kid I'm talking about like 6 years old. They're young.
They were annoying at the time.
They were annoying. They were babies. We were all kids. And then going into teenage years, it's like, oh, these are my sisters, these are my little sisters. Now they're like my besties, like my friends.
Yeah,
I love it. I remember my first breakup, like my first long-term break.
Yeah.
I feel like everyone was so invested in that relationship because he was around, like in the house a lot, right? Everyone had their own relationship with him. So it was like when we broke up, when I called it off, everybody felt sick. And then I just remember the moment, like I wasn't even crying. Like everybody else was crying, but they knew that like it wasn't a big moment. It was an important moment. It was a moment that I chose myself, and I was like, I'm not settling. And I think that in retrospect, my sisters learned from that, right? And I learned from that. Like as women, we choose us. We don't conform. That could be like a little pivotal moment where it's like, ooh, okay. Yeah. Womanhood starts here. Choosing yourself as a woman and respecting yourself, right? And then having that example show them you could do it too. Yeah. You don't have to stay.
Yeah, no, I hear that for sure. Yeah.
It's so funny because I'm such a visual person, and I wish you all could be in my head because sometimes I say things and I don't articulate myself in the way that I want for y'all to see the picture, but the picture is here. Hopefully one day they could create AI that you like put it right here and it just connects to the TV, like put it on your head. AI, do it.
No, thank you.
Elon Musk, I want y'all to know what's going on in my head.
Nah. I'm imagining Lizzie McGuire like with her little like, you know, like the little cartoon that's inside her head that's just gonna be like rotating on the outside.
And then you're like, okay, she said like 1,000 times, but I get what she's saying because I can see it. Yeah. Is there anything that you would tell yourself? What would you tell your younger self?
This is a question that I've been thinking about. Yeah. Because I feel like
advice. Yes. You would give your yourself.
I would, in different stages of my life, I would give myself a different advice, obviously, you know.
But we're talking about the younger you. The like
younger is yesterday.
That's true. Never mind.
You know what I mean?
Keep going.
I also think that sometimes my younger self could give me advice. Yeah? Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Like what?
So, okay. If I think about like young, like 9, 10, 11, like through teenage years, I would tell myself like, girl, you don't need to hold it all. Like you don't need to hold things in, and you're not responsible for everyone else. You know, like you don't have to make other people happy, nothing like that kind of stuff.
Yeah, like Chloe, like I don't want to go.
Yeah. Good. And it was just like, yes, girl. Yeah. I'm so proud of you for that.
I needed some of that. Yep.
Yes. So that, and then I would also like tell myself, you don't need to hide or like lie to yourself about the way that you feel. I feel like I would constantly like just kind of brush things to the side, or like I would have thoughts like, for example, I would think about like my dad and I'd be like, damn, it's really sad that he was killed. Like, you know, and then I would be like, oh, but that's life. Fine. So let's move on.
Diablo, Ashley.
No, like.
For real?
Yeah. Aww. Yeah, I think I just started to like.
But part of that too could just be like you're unaware.
I think it was more like a coping thing. And I think I often felt like for a very long time felt like I wouldn't be allowed to be sad or like to have any feelings around that because and
these
I
are
was
things
so young.
that you did impose on yourself.
I told myself.
Wow.
Yeah, I remember recently I was this was maybe like last year. I'm on the phone with Christine and I was walking and I'm like, oh, I'm walking past the cemetery. I'm like, dang, like Christine, I'm gonna stop. And she's like, okay. And like very supportive, like she let me do my thing. And then I was like, I made like this comment and then I looked up and I'm like, oh, there's a car wash here. Literally in the same sentence. And she was like, we're gonna rewind and we're gonna sit with that for a second.
Yes.
You know, it was like a very morbid it was just kind of like, well, this is sad. I have to come visit him at a cemetery.
Mm-hmm. Oh, look at the car wash.
Look at the car wash. Yeah. She was like, girl.
Yeah, wow.
So also for listeners, like I use dad interchangeably with like my biological dad and my stepdad, who is my dad. Like, yeah. So just for that, if
you get
people
confused.
are kind of confused.
They're like, whoa,
yeah.
where'd he go?
Yeah, right.
Can't put that out there. They be killing 50 Cent all the time on social media. Yo, you can't put that out there.
But yeah, I would tell, you know, like my teenage self, young adult self that. And then I think like my 24 year old self could give me some advice of like, girl, come on.
Ponte la pila.
Like you know, just like that. I think like if I were to have a conversation with that version of myself, there was a certain spark that I feel like I'm always like, I don't know if I'm like chasing it, but I think that there's a piece of that I want back.
Yeah.
From that version of myself. And now that I'm like sitting here, it's like real time that I'm like, well, it's not going to be the same. And I shouldn't want it to be the same, right?
No.
It can be something new and I can like discover that. So.
Do you know what the spark is, or you're still trying to figure that out? That you're attributing the almost loss of the spark to.
I think that I was just very like sure of like, I'm that bitch.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I think I still feel that way about myself, but not necessarily as much, or that definition of what it is has changed over time for me. And yeah.
And it should be different because you were a girl and now you're a woman.
Yeah, I was much younger. I mean, thinking like, you know,
that's fresh
early
out of
20s, like
college and after
whatever.
college.
Yeah. But yeah.
When you say that, I think about the women that give birth and they're trying to find their pink, right? I'm getting my pink back, like that. But it's a different pink. It's a different spark. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I love that. I love that you broke it down. When you were thinking about it, were you breaking it down too?
Yeah, because I'm like, there's no, the advice that I would give myself, or like an interaction with myself at like early 20s versus when I was like 15 versus when I was like 10 would be different mindsets. Different mindsets. Also thinking about like big pivotal moments that happened in each of those times for me. So yeah.
I love that. I wasn't thinking about it like that. Advice that I would give my younger self, and just me. I be giving all this advice. And I'm like, do as I say, not as I do, because I'm the worst. It's so much harder when you're doing it yourself. I would tell Jara to just do it, like show up. I think that that's something that my MO is that when I'm going through something difficult or trying to figure something out, I go in, I retract, right? Retracting is going in, and I kind of like block everyone out. It's like my coping mechanism. And I feel like all the times that I've allowed me to just feel how I feel and not retract, those are the parts that got me through. But it took so long. So I would just tell my younger self, like, feel the things, girl, and just go. Like, don't be scared that it's gonna suck, that it's gonna be, that you're gonna be sad or you're gonna be disappointed. I think I'm an overthinker, and I think I've always been like this my entire life. So I would tell her to just don't overthink it, just do it.
Yeah.
Be confident in your decisions. Yeah. Don't second guess yourself. One of my friends, she did some medication. I need some medication. No, I'm joking. She did some meditation classes last year, and it was the first time that I did a meditation and I was in my head. Literally, I could see a visual in my head. And it was actually before I had my life turned go chaotic last year. But throughout this meditation, I found myself walking through doors in my brain, right? I was walking through doors, and it looked like a hospital room. And I think I've only told like a couple people this, but it was like a hospital room, and the lights were dimming, they were shuttering, and I open a door, and it's me, and I'm sitting in the corner, like my head to my chest like to knees, fetal position, crying. And I walk over to myself, and I'm like, what's wrong? And just tears. So I just hold myself. I literally just held myself. And I'm like, we're gonna get out of here. Because it looked scary. It was like a freaking hospital, and the lights are dimming. I'm like, girl, we gotta go. Yeah. So I grab her, and I'm saying her, but it's me. I grab myself by the hand, like I hold her, and we walk out, and we're walking through the hallway, and she stops, and she goes back in, and she closes the door. And I'm like, oh my God, we gotta go again. And I think I might cry. So throughout the process, I think I went in there like 5 to 6 times to do the same thing, to grab her, I might be crying, guys. To just hold her. And it wasn't even like an exchange of words. It was just like feeling that I could be there for myself. And at the end, the beautiful thing was she kept going back, and that's me going back and doing the same things I normally do. And in the end, we walked out together, and there was no hospital behind us. It was like the sun. It was a beautiful landscape, and we kind of just like to tell, Teletubbies when they're walking over the on the hill and the green and the sun, the baby sun. Mm-hmm. It was like that, and it was beautiful. And I like opened my eyes, and I didn't cry because there were other people there, and I didn't want to feel embarrassed. But I was so shocked that it was like a visual. I was able to have a visual, spiritual representation of what I felt my whole life. Mm-hmm. And maybe that's my pivotal point where I'm like, you got this. You always had it. You need to be your biggest cheerleader instead of being others. Like, you need to fill into your cup. Mm-hmm. So that's what I would tell my younger self. Like, just do it, girl. Like, don't let anybody stop you. I think seeing so many strong women in our life make it through, and like being strong regardless, but not pouring into, or I don't want to say they didn't pour into themselves, but they always put themselves last. Mm-hmm. And I think you would agree. Yeah. I think it's important for us to put ourselves first. Yeah. Yeah, so I think little Jara should know that, and she does know it now, so she would be so proud, girl. She'd be like, woo, you did it, girl. And I'm still figuring it out, and I'm still just a girl, but yeah, I think like that's what I would say. Yeah. I knew I was gonna cry. I didn't think I was gonna tell that story though, because I only told that story to a couple people. Did I tell you that before?
I know you shared like you went to meditation and that you feel like you had kind of like like you had a moment with yourself, but you didn't like share the story. Yeah.
It was crazy. I never experienced anything like that before, and I was like, holy shit. Mm-hmm.
It sounds like intense. Like
Did you see moment. It while I was explaining it?
Yeah, I can envision it. Yeah, okay. I'm a visual person too, so I'm like trying to play it like a movie in my head. Mm-hmm. But yeah. And I think, like, we kind of we talked about this a little bit last week, that's when you were saying, like, that I was therapizing you. Yeah. But, like, you can figure it out by yourself, and you can rely on yourself. I think it's also important, like, you don't have to always do that, though. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, there are people in your life who will show up for you if you allow them, right? And I think that, like, if you have felt like you have always just had to figure it out on your own, and that trust and support of, like, when I need somebody, they're going to be there in the way that I need, right? Like, it kind of has made you come to this of being like, I always gotta have it for myself. I gotta figure it out on my own. And like, you know, I want you to know too that yes, and you can, and you do, but it doesn't have to be like that. Like when it becomes like too much, when it's a lot, like there are people that you can lean on, and I want you to know that.
Thank you. Yeah. I do need to remind myself that.
Yeah.
To learn as you go. Well, that's like, I have to do that work.
Yeah, because it's a, you know, it's a learned behavior. Like everybody wants to protect themselves, and everybody wants to do what is going to, like, what they feel like is in their power to do that, right? To like make them feel the best. So with that, naturally, you know what I mean? But it's a learning, you know, it's all about like learning.
I appreciate you saying that.
Yeah. Well, thank you for being so vulnerable and sharing that with us.
Of course. If anybody feels the way that I feel, clearly you're not alone. And I'm here for you.
Yeah. Do you have any final questions or other words?
I mean, there's so many other questions, but we've been talking for a while. We've been yapping. Yeah. I mean, if whoever's like listening to this episode and you want to ask us questions or you want to hear more, let us know, because we could do another session of just us yapping.
We're definitely open, always open for like your questions, insight, discussion, whether it's like down in the comments or like we can make a video about it.
Anything else you have?
No, I think I just want to say, like, this is a journey. Like, there is no one way to define women. Or I don't think it's a
right or wrong way to be a woman, no black and white, no linear path.
And it's not necessarily a destination, you know? And there's so many contributing factors into what each individual person believes, how they should show up or how they would want to show up. Yeah,
on our way here, I actually asked ChatGPT, because I like to ask him questions. I call him. I was like, what does it mean to be a woman? And he was like, girl, it's because he talks to me like that now, because he knows me. He was like, girl, it's a unique perspective. And I said, period. Yes. I was just curious what he had to say, but yeah, it's all unique. It's all like what we go through and define as for ourselves. Yeah.
I love that.
Well, thank you for tuning in.
Yes, thank you for tuning in. Follow us on Instagram, TikTok. I almost said Twitter. Instagram, TikTok, YouTube at Too Little Wine Podcast, or at Too Little Wine. Yes, at Too Little Wine. It'll be in the description, in the comments, the description. Words.
And happy Women's Month. Thank you for celebrating with us. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you to all
of our guests.
Yeah.
Yes. And we've gotten a lot of great feedback about having guests, so stay tuned for more in the future.
Yes. See you next Tuesday.
Yes, so we'll see you next Tuesday. I love that we just embraced that.
We're gonna get sweatshirts that say Too Little Wine. See you next Tuesday.